episode of Sit Down with Stone. I am here with Colorado State Treasurer David Young. Hi, Mr. Young, how are you?
Good, Stone.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for being here today.
Thank you. So I have a few questions that I have for you. One of them is, how did you get interested in politics?
Well, I've actually been politically active, I think, all my life.
Okay.
So even when I was in high school and college.
Mhm.
But I have a sister who's intellectually developmentally disabled, and my wife and I became her guardians, co-guardians. And she started really struggling getting care.
Mhm.
One year she went through 20 different host home placements
Oh, wow.
in 1 year. You can imagine how
Mhm.
terrible that was, having to move 20 different times.
Wow.
And she was experiencing liver failure and needed a liver transplant. I mean, she had a lot of big
Okay.
issues that were hitting her. And so we were trying to help her
Okay.
as guardians. And I began to realize a lot of people that we were running into that needed services weren't getting them.
Mhm.
So there was a moment in time about 10 years ago, well, maybe not quite 10 years ago, maybe more like 8 years
Okay.
ago, where the guy who was the state representative up in Greeley was asked by Governor Hickenlooper to be the state insurance commissioner.
Okay.
So he decided to take that job, and it left a political opening, and I put my name in to fill the spot and got selected.
Oh, nice.
So I hadn't really planned on running for
Mhm.
office, but I was fighting all this care issues with my sister, and
Mhm.
realizing all these other people had trouble in fighting it from the outside of government and wasn't getting anywhere.
Mhm.
So I decided to put my name in and got selected to see if I could fight on the inside.
Okay, very cool.
That's what I've been doing since then.
Okay, that's very cool. And then my other question for you is, what are you most proud of from your time in the legislature?
You know, in the legislature, we kind of tend to look at bills that we get passed. And I passed maybe 120 bills
Wow.
over the years that I was there.
Very cool.
And I think what I'm going to give you a couple of answers here. One is I always tried to make sure that the bills were bipartisan if I could. So I'm a Democrat, but I want to make sure I had Republicans on the bill
Okay.
because I want the solutions to last for a long time. I don't want them to be dependent on who's in office. You know, if you've got everybody coming together
Right.
in forming a solution, then I think you're better off. But specifically, a lot of the issues I worked on were about Medicaid.
Okay.
And you know that for people with disabilities, a lot of service and a lot of care comes through Medicaid.
Mhm.
And so I took on a lot of bills to try to sort out our problems with Medicaid. And probably the one that I think was the toughest and the most fun to get through, and I had a lot of help from the ARC of Colorado and from other affiliates of ARCs across the state, was conflict-free case management. And we, I've always felt like my sister's problem with her having all of these moves that she had to make was that we had a conflict of interest there. People telling us to move one place and not giving us all the options that we had available.
Yeah.
And when we got that bill passed on conflict-free case management, I think it's got the potential to help people sort that out so that they get
Okay.
good support and there's no conflict of interest there.
Very
So
nice.
I think I was most proud of that, and I
Okay.
got a picture from the ARC over here as
Oh,
a thank you for all the work on that and other bills as
Yeah.
well. I obviously hang proudly on my wall here because I appreciated that.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. Thank you. What is one of the things about public policy that is important for people with intellectual or in developmental disability to know?
That your voice matters.
Okay.
And this is why I appreciate you coming in today and doing this, because everybody's voice matters in this conversation. I think a lot of times, particularly here in the Capitol, people sit around and they make assumptions about what's important for people, and they don't really listen to everybody.
Okay.
And they come up with what they think is a good solution, and then they discover it doesn't really work. It's because the people that are affected the most weren't part of the conversation. So I think it's most important that if there are, and there's another organization called CCDC,
Mm.
Colorado Cross Disabilities Coalition, and a lot of times you'll hear them say, nothing about us without us.
Mm.
Nothing about us without us. So
Okay.
don't make a decision about us without including us in.
That's very cool.
And I think that's the message that I'm trying to
Yeah.
deliver here is
Okay.
it's important to get your voice in the room.
Mhm.
Don't wait to be asked.
Right.
If there's something that's going to affect you, get in there and start telling people what you need.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of really cool testimonies from a lot of people with IDD, and it's just everybody has a story to be told, and I
Yeah.
think everybody needs to take the time to listen because it's
Right.
pretty cool.
Well, and you want it to work.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, you have to live with it.
Mhm.
We all make these decisions. We don't necessarily have to live with the decision, but
Right.
you end up
Yeah.
living with it, right?
Yep.
So we want it to work for you.
All right, very cool, thank you. And then the other question I have for you is how do you think your support of people with IDD will change in your new role?
Not at all.
No, okay. Okay.
I'm going to be just as active.
Mhm.
As a treasurer, I can't run bills,
Mhm.
but I can certainly work on bills. I can
Okay.
be a voice in the room and be working with people
Okay.
to make sure that they're staying focused on the things that really matter. And even beyond that, making sure that people like you
Mhm.
are included in the conversation.
Well, thank you very much.
That doesn't have anything to do with being a treasurer or being a representative. It just has to do with reminding people that
Mhm.
that your voice matters.
No, thank you very much. I think it's awesome that you have come, from where you were as a legislator and then now you're the state treasurer. I think that's really awesome.
Well, I was a teacher before
Oh,
that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I taught junior high for about 25 years up in Greeley,
Okay.
which was great preparation for the legislature. Because sometimes their behaviors in the legislature are kind of like junior high students. So it was good preparation there. I love teaching. I taught also at college. I taught at CU Denver.
Oh, okay.
So I spent about 35 years in education
Wow.
before I even got involved in politics.
Okay.
So
Everybody
people
starts
say,
out.
"Oh, well, you're a career politician." No, I was a career educator who just happened to get into politics at the end of my time.
Okay, so it's true what they say. The people always start somewhere, right?
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, as Legislator Dave Young, and I hope to maybe interview you again in the near future. Thank you
Oh,
very
I
much.
love that.
Have
Thanks,
a great
Tom.
day.
You bet. Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Thank